Everything you see here is strictly informational. Forex is a high-risk business. Please do not place trades with more money than what you don't have. Please do not trade other people's money. Do not borrow any money than what you cannot trade with. And please take everything that I say as a personal opinion. I am not considered a financial advisor. I'm not considered a broker. I am just one here simply recording my journey along learning the markets.
Alright, so this is video number 4 of the night. I just went through some Forex stuff, your USD, PUSD, and UCAD, and now I'm gonna do a hodgepodge of other things in this one. Take a look at take a look at gold, some crypto, and some indices, and see what's going on. I'll try to make it short and sweet, and try to pull something out of this. I kind of looked at some of these. I don't really have a huge idea of what I'm gonna be looking at as far as price action is concerned, but we'll just have to wait and see until we open the charts. First up, I do have the SPX 500. So looking back in time, after this big pullback, I need to pull off these damn trend lines because they don't mean anything to me anymore. All right, so we had this huge overextension, right? We had a huge pullback. It got down to this low, and now ever since we got down to that low, we have been climbing steadily ever since. But and I just got these new indicators that I absolutely think are awesome, and this guy named Naldo, I suggest you check him out. Look for open interest. There's one called open interest money flow, and there's also one that's an open interest stochastic money flow. So they definitely are very, very helpful. Definitely show if it's overbought or oversold better than an RSI would. Things of that nature, because they use he told me he uses Quandle information that's tied to TradingView, and so that's how he gets the open interest. So interest rates are definitely a lot more valuable than RSI would be to me. So I have them kind of big here to show you what's going on. As you can see, interest rates definitely rising throughout here, which that is indicator of a sell. And as you can see, it is past the oversold mark. So with that being said, I do think we are gonna see quite a bit of a drop on I would say New York open on Monday, to be honest. I'm on a 4-hour chart right now. I mean, it looks like there was already a sell signal on the stochastic, and pretty much what I have laid out here, I don't know, I think that was just from the last 2 days of trading, I think. Generally what I'll do is I'll get down to like a 15-minute, 5-minute nick grid of this. I should probably get rid of a lot of these lines, because I was kind of taking a look at it at the end of the day, trying to figure out where this is going, where this is headed to, because I can make some decent on the spot decisions on SPX, and they usually turn out pretty well. And it just has to do with looking to the left, basically. Get rid of this thing that says order blocks because that was just for me. So what I'll usually do is I will put in oops, didn't mean to do that. Right now I just made a big thing on my screen so I can't get into my indicators. I will put in my session breaks. Right, so I'll put in the time that it takes for the New York Open, right, and I'll usually do this on a 5-minute, and for me the New York Open is 8:30, so I usually do it like 8:25 so I can see the New York Open. And yeah, as you can see, we've just been kind of on the rise. This was a big drop here. Was that that was a day that Trump got COVID, and you know, everything just kind of dropped. Nobody knew it was going to happen the day after, and sure enough, it just kept trading through, and trading through it did, and it just kept going up. And that usually, this is conducive with the opposite of the price of the dollar, which means the dollar was declining, and it looks like going into tomorrow the dollar will be having more of a stronger hold than it was last week. At least on Twitter, I think Goldman Sachs just said to sell the dollar. Oh, yeah, we just saw it and it just went away. Hold on, where was it? Hold on. There it is. Goldman Sachs says short dollar as odds firm Biden win and vaccine approval. Well, when Goldman Sachs tells you to short the dollar, it usually means buy the dollar. They're just telling you to short it, that way they can buy it and get a better position. So that's exactly what that means. Anyways, I'm heading back to, oh, I think I have the wrong one. Here we go. SPX. I do have a strategy for SPX, and if we are going to see it short, what I am going to think about doing, because it looks like it just started shorting recently around 1 o'clock, and then it's almost London Open, which I need to be really paying attention to some Forex soon, because I got some limits set, and I gotta see what things are gonna be doing. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I think if this thing is going to drop, I want to see, is this here right now is currently the session low. So what I would do is place a horizontal ray at the session low, right? And then whenever, let's see here, let's see if I can find an example of how this works. Oh yes, the session high. This was a good example. So here, after the New York opened on the 8th of October, right, you had the session high, right, that before the day closed, and so what you do is you look for, and you also have the session low. So I'll just draw both of these, right? So what you do is you look for a 5-minute close, either above or below the previous session, or even if the session is consolidation and the daily makes a high or a low, you look for the same thing. What you do is you look at it. Actually, well, never mind. Yeah, I was gonna say, if the session is a consolidation, and it gets above that or below that, and it closes on the 5-minute candle, more than likely you're guaranteed that it is going to go in that direction. So if we take a look at this, and I don't even know what this green line is here, to be honest, so I'm going to get rid of it. I don't know what this green line is here, so I'm going to get rid of it. So we have the New York Open, it drops down, and generally whenever I see something drop in the New York Open, that tells me it goes the opposite way. It tells you smart money is selling to try to get a better position, to go the opposite way, right? So what happened is that it looks like it came up and it spiked through, right? Slowly gained up, and then we came up and we closed. We did close above that session high. Now, that being said, it's not going to happen automatically and stay above there. We did see a retracement back, right? We saw a retracement back kind of near a support level. I don't even know if that's a support level, but we did see a good retracement back. To be honest, I want to say that is an optimal trade entry. So if we would take a fib retracement and we would go from here to here, boom, yep, it is within the optimal trade entry. So that would have been a perfect time to enter. If you'd entered in this at the 70.5% level, which would have been 34.29, that would have been the perfect time to enter. So I'm gonna have to remember that from now on, because that is something I just learned myself. Closes above, you know it's gonna go higher, so now you got to look for an optimal trade entry, and it usually does have a pullback. And I'll usually just try to wait until I can, wait for I think it's going to get the lowest, but now I actually have an idea of how it is going to get to its lowest, and it is going to be some kind of fib retracement to an optimal trade entry. So it did close above this high. It came above again, closed, and then came down, optimal trade entry, and then eventually it went higher, and it closed at a high. So that is just basically how I play the SPX, and I gotta see if it's gonna beat a session high or a low. Same thing here. Here we go. We have a session high and we have a session low. Same thing. This time it closed above. This time there was no pulling back. It just took off. And well, actually here's where it closed above. You can barely even see it, actually. But if this thing is a magnet and it goes straight across, you can see right at the start of the day it jumped up and closed right above that previous session high. It went to, so let me see if that's another optimal trade entry from this swing low. It is. Boom, 70.5. Wow. Okay, I don't know how I didn't see this before, but now that I know that it's there, this is going to be pretty easy if this is to ever happen again. And it continued to trade up. And now what you do as far as looking for exits, your first exit point, of course, is the original high. So for trading from down here to up here, that's what is it, 34.59 something, 34.59.3 to 34.70. That's what, 10 or 100 pips pretty much. That's over 100 pips. With spread, pretty much about 100 pips. That's, and for that to happen within 10, 15, 20, 30, about an hour. I'll take 100 pips within an hour, and then an hour later you get double that. So your next targets I have, or or institutional targets that I've learned through the best teacher that is out there. His name is Michael Huddleston from Inner Circle Trader. Is the 127% retracement and also the 162% retracement. And then you also have the double. So this is basically a symmetrical swing going from one extreme to the other. So if price gets this low and it goes this high, and then basically what we're doing is we're reflecting that and we're making that same price action on the other side, and we're going to see if it gets to that, and it does. So basically price went from here, and then it also made that same amount of pips from there to there. So it actually made that symmetrical swing, and usually when it hits the symmetrical swing is when it does pull back, and it did. So, and that was just right before the end of the day. So it did hit that symmetrical swing. So those could have been your, 3 or 4 targets. If you had 3 or 4 targets, those would have been your 3 targets, 3 or 4 targets. It looks like right afterwards, though, this was probably a gap, because this thing likes to. Well, I don't know. The trading goes on for another, 5 o'clock? Yeah, trading goes on, especially in this, until, 5:15 or so. I want to say it's more like 5:45 is when it, really, really dies down. But, yeah, so here is your... So now that we know that has happened... and now this session is over with. Here is your swing low from this session, and it looks like here is your swing high. And so now we'll just have to see what is going to happen tomorrow, and we'll see what it's nearest, and whatever it's nearest is probably it's going to happen. If the dollar is going to go up, I'm assuming the SPX, we're going to see it drop. But we are seeing in the 4-hour chart, it was showing it was oversold. Here in the 5-hour chart, it's showing it's undersold. So I am not 100% sure. It was showing, yeah, we did get the sell signal. It looks like there's probably going to be a little bit of a buy signal come in. I'm not for sure how much of a buy. Then again, one of the best things to do right now is look to the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a horizontal line all the way across. And then I'm going to take a look at the 4-hour chart. And then I'm going to go back to see. And I'm going to take the session breaks off because we don't need those. And then this is me doing the open and close back whenever I was trying to trade the S&P a lot. I haven't been doing it a lot lately, just because I've been focused more on Forex and whatnot. I wish these things would delete a lot easier. I don't want to delete everything off of here. I just want to delete these. Should have been a little bit more prepared. Sorry, guys. All right. So if we take that symmetrical price, or if we take that session high that we have, or any kind of high, this goes back to the Great Fall, of China, I guess you could call it. And it does look like there was a breaker right there. So that would definitely tell me, this right here would definitely be a sign that it would be a sell. Because it looks like generally whenever you see something like this happen, a big fall, but you also see something like this with, a big wick right below it, there's usually institutional stop runs. So there would be sell stops down below this, and generally they try to protect those stop runs. So right here would be an institutional level sell, and they're going to try to protect that. So that's what I think. That's another good reason to think that it's going to continue to sell, or at least not get higher than this, at least tomorrow, until they get more out of their sells. But I'm not for sure. Unfortunately, there's not a commitment to traders report for this, for the equities market. But this is a good indicator that it is a sell. And to get even a little bit more accurate, let's even get in on the 15-minute and see if there's any kind of interruptions or anything like that on this. It looks like it just came back up to it. Yep, because it came back up to it, which means it was protecting its stop losses. It started selling again. So that being said, it's already been done once. I'm not for sure if it'll happen again. So they've already protected their stop losses once. It's already gotten to a very, very, very low point. You know, there's a possibility it could get higher. But right now, that possibility isn't looking good. Yeah, so if this thing does continue to sell, right, and let's just say it does, so far we've seen only, you know, buying opportunities, and what happens if it, you know, buys and what to look for. If it sells, your targets look a little bit different. Your targets are actually more along the lines of these same swing highs and swing lows than they are the, you know, the 62% or the 27% and the 62% extensions. So if this were to, you know, get the 5-minute and sell through, come up, look for the optimal trade entry, right? Because it probably will pull back up, and then after that, I would say definitely aim for the first target, and that first target would just be, you know, this first swing low. I would say aim for that to be probably 90% of your trade, and then I would leave another 10% on just to see if it gets any lower. Who knows? Today could be, or tomorrow could be a huge fall, a day of another fall, and you may want to think of a different strategy. I'm not 100% sure, you know, but this is a strategy that I usually use with SPX, and as you can see so far, it's you know, it works pretty well. And then, you know, sometimes there's like things like that are midday. There was one that happened that was like midday that I found, and I sold. And actually, I don't even think it was even during a New York session. It may have been a New York session, but I just found a breaker and I sold. And you know, you just got to find things like that. Just look to the left, and generally anything you look to the left, and if there's some kind of disturbance, you can usually get some kind of, you know, good money out of it. I want to say it may have been this right here, or this here. I can't remember. I think it was definitely the last day. I think we did see a breaker. Hold on, before this. I just want to double check and make sure, because I want to say it was something like this. And yep. See, there was another breaker there. So I saw it came back up, hit this breaker, And once I saw it hit that breaker, I decided to sell, and I ended up getting about, I didn't hold on to it for as long as I should have, but I ended up getting about 50 pips out of it. I know that. But yeah, that's generally how I play the SPX, and we'll just have to see how it comes out tomorrow. Another one I wanted to look at was gold. And this thing, I swear, I don't know how it keeps this chart, because I delete it every single time, and somehow everything stays on there. Like, none of these things I've had on there in months. I swear I do this, and you've probably seen me do it, actually. But anyway, I'm taking a look at the commitment traders. As you can see, they're net short. As far as I can remember, the commitment traders have been net short on gold. They are just bears on gold in the first place. Nobody wants to be a bull on gold, especially the commercial banks, for some reason. Mainly because they want to protect, I guess, their own commodity, which would be their own, dollar, their own currency. They don't want gold to be a currency, so they want to sell it. But unfortunately, sometimes that is not the case. Gold is definitely shown it is making a comeback. Looks like on the 4-hour chart, looks like it almost got to be oversold, and it started pulling back just recently. And we'll see what's going on with gold here. So looks like we do have I don't even know if we'll even get this far down tomorrow, but it looks like we do have what looks like this is an area where it was building long positions, that's for sure. So took off, went long, came back down. Right here, there is one order block before it decided to take off. Thing is that we do have some equal lows. So one thing I don't like about equal lows is that it usually tries to take them out. So we could see some. It doesn't happen automatically, but I think eventually we are going to see these two lows be taken out, because we're going to have retail traders, right? See these two lows here, almost identical. If we do, actually, let me just take a look at these and let's see what the lows are. Low here, 1848.58, 1848.49, 1848.79. So roughly somewhere in between 20 cents, which is pretty much the for gold, that's pretty much an equal low. So if I like to do is I'll like to do one of these, kind of show that there are equal lows. That way I know price is eventually going to come down to it and try to take it out at some point. But as for now, if dollar is going to be on the rise, I wouldn't be surprised if gold does take a dive. It looks like we did hit a breaker, right? We see this here. Sometimes breakers don't always come in right off the bat. Sometimes it takes a while for them to develop. Sometimes they'll go up above and they'll do something, and then you'll find some kind of setup, and then it'll trade off the breaker going down. But sometimes it just happens right away, and it looks like here, it looks like it came up to the breaker, traded down. Looks like it came up to the breaker, traded down. So it looks like there's definitely some sell stops, because you can see right here, even though it's 4 hour. Let's get a little bit closer in on this. That's the thing, there was kind of a bit of a disturbance. So it wasn't necessarily a breaker. Usually a breaker is when it runs right through it. Like, you'll see this, but then there'll just be one big solid red, candle. But here, it looks like it came up, through it a couple times, but it kept getting pushed down below. So what I'm seeing here now is that this has become an order block. And order blocks can change. So, and even then, that's not even really an order block. That's just a lot of price movement that doesn't even know where it's wanting to go. But I guess you could consider that a bearish order block because it was more toward the higher side of the breaker, probably building up sells before the big drop. So it sold off, right? And here you have an order block too. It looks like it was building up sells, and then it sold off, right? And then what happens between now and then really isn't relevant up until now. Because now we are back up at that order block. And now what could be happening, let me go back to it because I need to actually extend this out. Oh, dang it. I hope that didn't do anything to my OBS. No, it didn't. Okay, it's still in the same window. What I want to do is I need to extend this out all the way. So I want to see if those are going to stay in that order block. And it looks like they're actually below it. So what this could mean is that there is another order block forming just below it, building up buys, which doesn't make sense if the dollar is going to be better tomorrow, because if the dollar is going to be better tomorrow, then it's going to sell off. Nothing is happening in the Euro USD or anything like that. That's okay. Actually, let me check the GBP USD really quick. Looks like it is buying, which I didn't expect it to do. I expected a pullback actually. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe it is Sunday. Nothing. Maybe nothing will happen tonight. But what I think could be happening here is that we are seeing a new order block forming. But this order block could be in the form of, well, I don't know, because it looks like it could be just coming up here and then collecting sells, right? Because it looks like it came up into the order block, sold off, came up, click sold, sold off, and then sold off. So it could be selling tomorrow. I don't really see a good pattern for an optimal trade entry just yet. because it just because the price action has been kind of wonky and kind of all over the place. It looks like a mixture of Euro USD and GBP USD put together. So, to be honest, I don't really have a good answer for you if you're looking for something on gold, other than the fact I just have a hunch that it will probably sell. I mean, it has stayed above this breaker though, so that's the opposite, you know, of the bearish breakers, that we do have a bullish breaker too. And since this one came later, we could be seeing prices go up. But like I said, again, if the US dollar is going to be buying tomorrow, which so far it isn't because GBP is going up. UCAD's going up though. Euro USD not really making any movement whatsoever. So I'm not 100% sure. Let's see, what would be the nearest institutional level outside of here would be, outside of 1932 would be 1935. So let me draw here, let me do this really quick. Oh, hey, how it just does this. Let's do coordinates and 1935, and I'm gonna get rid of one of these, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a fib. Sometimes you have to go from institutional levels to get to where you want to be. So if we were going to be selling, this would definitely be the optimal trade entry. But you would want to go from here to the low right before that high, and it looks like it came down just a little bit too far. I mean, it came down into it. It came down just a little bit too far. But, you know, I guess you could still consider that an optimal trade entry. But it didn't make it back to the 100%. Instead, it didn't. But also it didn't make a higher high. So it is in between somewhere. So gold, couldn't tell you what's going on. Let's take a look at hourly. Just because it is at a high point since the time that it did have that huge drop a couple weeks ago. And generally when that happens, it tends to have another one. Or at least another sell-off anyway, because there's a lot of people up here that built up a lot of sells that want to keep those sells going, and they have a lot of money, so they'll push it down. So that is my take on gold. Let's go to some crypto. All right, so Ethereum. I thought Ethereum was actually, even though it got to you know, basically its resistance point again, 378, 380. I honestly thought I was going to break it again today. And the reason I thought I was going to break it was because of this right here. Right, so what you would actually, I'm at a 15-minute chart right now. I clicked 1 second. I can't do 1 second. It goes down to 1 day when I do this. If you go down to 1 minute, what I found was all right. You just see this. Keep that in mind. You find this one candle here that pushes down, right? One are these candles that come up here, right? And then they push down, right? Just so they can get a little bit of a better entry just before it takes off and goes up and goes out of the park, right? Even then, it looks like it came up, it sold, and then it went back up, and it went back up. So, and those are all kind of wicks, aren't they? There's really no body. So, even within these 1 minutes, these things are just going crazy. But that being said, this dotted line, it came right back down to it, right? So whenever it came right back down to it and it hit it and it rejected off of it, first that was just telling me that, you know, that there are, you know, there are institutions, there's not like, you know, Bank of England or anything like that here in Ethereum, but there are large institutions that do, you know, put money into crypto and do the same thing. And it traded off of that. So I was thinking that was kind of like your bullish order block, and that it would eventually go higher and break resistance, hopefully. That 380 resistance, that's just kind of been historical. That being said, it kept trading lower, but then at first it was getting down to this 370 level is what it would want to trade down to, and then eventually it would get to, and that's why I drew this box and this line, 372, and then once it got to 372, it would, you know, dip back out. And here we go again. Now it's back in the box. It came back out. Back in the box, back out, and then way back out, and then it's just been hovering. There's really nothing going on, and then it came back down to 370. That same level, and then bounce back up. So I still think it's bullish. I still think we're going to see some bullish activity out of Ethereum. The only thing is that now that it's spending more time up high, as I have a feeling that it's building cells. It's not, it was rejecting out of here because they had their buys protected. But now I think that it's came down in here, they've came back up, they've taken profit, they came down here, came up, taken profit. At the same time, they're building up sell positions, and now it's dropping down, and who knows, it may fall off, I don't know. Bitcoin, I know Bitcoin had a pretty crazy last couple days. That being said, I'd rather get into like a 1 hour chart of Bitcoin, because now it's back in consolidation. After it almost broke, I think it was 12, got close to 12, right? 11.5. It seems to have this really strange, wonky pattern, but at least it got above this resistance, right? So this was the resistance it was, I know, trying to get past. It did break above that resistance, but now the question is it going to stay above that? So I would say watch for a retest around 1190. And maybe even below it, maybe you can get down to about 11,100 and see if it pops back up. If not, it could just be another one of those things where it just drops back down and stays back here a little bit and then drops back down, and then who knows. But for me to be bullish on, or at least it did have a little bit of a run for the last couple days, being bullish, for it to actually start thriving again, I guess you could say, as being bullish, and probably needs to get above this 11, or at least the 12,000 level, I think. Yeah, it needs to get at least above here. And this 1269, just because I think there's a lot of especially when it was going up and it was buying through here, there was probably a lot of institutional selling as well. So they're selling it as it's going up, knowing it's going to drop down below here, and they're going to take a huge amount of profit. So even though this looks like a bullish move, it's actually a very bearish move, because they know, the institutions, the people, all that are coordinating all this together, because there are people doing this. They know they're going to be selling it off, just so they can make a hefty profit. And me and you are not part of that gang, so unfortunately. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you guys on a random one, as far as SPX, gold, and some crypto goes. I wish I had more, but that should be it for me tonight. And I should give some updates on what I came up with tonight, tomorrow, or maybe midweek, and we'll see how the trades that I called are going, and we'll see what's going on. Maybe something drastic change tomorrow. Before we go, what we should do though is first we should plug my Twitter. If you haven't ever checked out my Twitter, you should. It is BodiesWix, at BodiesWix. Basically, anytime I post something on TradingView, you will get it. I posted my idea about US CAD. I plug my videos, things like that. Thoughts and polls. Whatever I feel like doing is what I'll do. But another thing that we should probably do is actually check out Forex Factory, and see what is going on there. So let's see what kind of week we got coming up, since this video is kind of a hodgepodge of different things. And oh yeah, tomorrow's Martin Luther King Day. I forgot. So no wonder there's going to be nothing happening at all, because we have a bank holiday here and in Canada. So expect the dollar not really to do much whatsoever. Let's see here. Looks like we had some bad news from the euro already. And looks like in the morning we got some stuff from the pound, so not much going on there. Let's check out what's going on till the end of the week. Right, so Tuesday, nothing too big. Looks like we got some CPI coming out. Climate count change, not really for sure what that is. Don't really care about CNY. Wednesday, core PPI. German 30-year bond auction that actually is actually going to be pretty, it wouldn't be hugely significant since it's 30-year. A little bit more significant if it would be more like a 5 or a 10. But we'll see how that's going to come out. I mean, Euro's been slipping around anyway. Looks like we have some FOMC people speaking on Wednesday. Yeah, it looks like Wednesday night might be a good time to trade because it looks like we have some Australian stuff coming out. Employment change and employment rates that definitely moved the market a lot last time in the odd USD and the odd pairs. So Thursday, unemployment claims again for the USD. Import prices, so not a whole lot of red and orange folders. Looks like Friday we got core retail sales, so Friday could be a little bit of a hectic day for the USD, so it looks like kind of like a normal week of trading. Nothing that's going to throw anything off too bad. So I wouldn't expect the worst, wouldn't expect the best. I would just expect trading. This right here is your 10-year yield bonds. If you're looking at trading currencies, I got most of them kind of compared. And this is a daily chart here, so looks like the blue is the US, so we're actually doing the strongest, and price tends to chase after the bonds. So even though they all may have went a little bit lower, it looks like the US is actually coming up a little bit higher more than most. GBP probably a little bit behind, but it is declining a little bit. The euro here is in the blue down at the bottom, and it's just kind of been slipping. So the euro has actually been the least favorable, but the one that's been the most surprising has been the Japanese yen, as his like kind of just fairly increasing throughout the entire way. So again, that's all I got. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoy my stuff and you think it helps you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. The best thing you can do is actually like it, share it with your friends that you trade with, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Like I said, again, I'll just try to make some videos throughout the week, and we'll see what happens between now and then. And after that, I'll see you guys later.